Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 17 of season 1 of the F1 2020 McLaren driver career mode, where today we're here ready for the Russian Grand Prix. Now obviously if you guys missed out on the last one from Singapore, I would definitely recommend going back and checking it out. But even more changes as we head into round 17 of the season there. Racing Point now suddenly are second best in Formula 1, so last year's Mercedes is now better than anyone else's car bar this year's Mercedes in this career mode. But we have got a chassis upgrade in the works there, which should leapfrog us back past both Racing Point and Red Bull over the coming weeks as well. So hopefully we can continue on the good performances. You know, championship-wise, at the moment, we are currently sat P4 overall there, just 7 points now behind Charles Leclerc there. Hamilton, 67 points still, no, 57 points, sorry, I should say, behind his teammate Valtteri Bottas in the Drivers' World Championship. So Bottas still looking rather comfortable as we head into one of his best tracks on the real-life Formula 1 calendar there. Lando Norris, 90 rated now in this series as well. But we do need to try and change a couple of engine parts. We're going to go back, actually, to some slightly older parts, if possible. Oh, we've got a load of older parts that I've clearly done at some point and forgotten about, so we will go with that. Let's dive in then here to the Russian Grand Prix. Here we are then, qualifying day for the Russian Grand Prix. Always been a track that I've gone quite well around on the F1 games, and obviously hopefully that form will continue here today. Having a look at the setup, obviously minimum fuel. Yeah, running, as always, pretty standard stuff there. I'm running quite low aero. Hopefully that won't cost us on this qualifying, but obviously we'll wait and see. At the final corner then, ready for our one chance to try and get in a good lap time here. We should have a rough idea of what the top end speed is like, with the huge run down towards the first corner. Definitely not as strong as the Mercedes. You can quite clearly see Bottas already romping away into a small lead there. Nice and brave on the brakes. Try and keep it nice and tightly between the white lines as we head now through one of my favourite corners on the track, the infamous turn 3. Not really much of a corner anymore, unfortunately. Formula 1 cars just need a little bit less aero to make that thing a bit of a challenge once again here. But first sector has been nice and tidy. The same cannot be said for that, as we run horribly wide off the exit of the first corner of sector 2 there. And now as we head through the next couple of turns, this is where we seem to be quite strong. Just try and get the car rotated through and hope that it sticks and comes out the other side in one piece. There, out onto the back straight. Quite an important traction zone that we have royally messed up that time around there. You can see we're currently sat down in P10 at the moment, a long way away from the P2. They were able to get ready for the Singapore Grand Prix last time out there. Final sector of the lap though. Let's just see if we can keep it nice and tidy. Again, another bit of a traction wobble there as we head in towards the final couple of corners of the lap. Really trying to open up that run there. The wall on the outside though, always ready to pounce on you, as well as walloping the sausage curb through the final couple of corners there. Out of the final corner, a very scrappy lap, but we still somehow find ourselves in P7 in the end. That'd be a long way off where I wanted to be. Hopefully that means we can move forward in the race just a bit, but yeah, definitely needed to find a bit more time for a good run there.
For tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Bottas, Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Goodbye for now then, but we're really just getting started. Make sure to join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
So a very mixed up qualifying session in the end. Mercedes 6/10 clear of anyone else, with Max Verstappen taking his normal 2020 spot of P3 there. Lando Norris, a very good job, just 0.02 of a second behind the Red Bull man there. You can see we've got Perez and Daniel Ricciardo 5th and 6th there, but incredibly tightly bunched there. What's that? 32 thousandths of a second separates 6th down to 9th place there. Danny Capure at 10th off Danny Rick as well. You can see, yeah, really bunched up 0.2 of a second from 6th down to 13th there. Poor Charles Leclerc down in 13th place there. No major surprises though, apart from Charles. Obviously, hopefully this weekend we can jump him in the Drivers' World Championship. Now we've seen the Ferrari patch finally come into effect, but let's dive in then here for the Russian Grand Prix.
Welcome one and all to today's Grand Prix here in southern Russia. A beautiful location besides the Black Sea, and a race that has been dominated so far by the Silver Arrows. Mercedes have won here 6 times in a row since the first Sochi Grand Prix in 2014. Can someone else muscle in on that record here today? It's time to go racing then at the Sochi Autodrome, where the long run down to the heavy braking zone at turn 2 is one of 2 DRS zones around this 3.6 mile circuit. The other, of course, down into turn 13. 18 corners make up a lap here today, with an average speed somewhere in the region of 130 miles an hour. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. Let's have a chat about McLaren. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Norris, Sergio Perez, and Ricciardo, Mr. Monaco, Vettel, Albon, and Daniel Kvyat, Stroll, Ocon, Charles Leclerc, and Gasly, Grosjean, Magnussen, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Kimi Raikkonen, Russell, and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Okay, a podium result could be difficult to achieve this race, so let's focus on getting a high points finish.
I cannot believe it. Jeff's come up with actually a very decent recommendation for what we should aim for in the race. What is happening on F1 2020? But here we are then, on the grid, ready for round 17 of the season here in the Russian Grand Prix. Nice sunny day here out in Sochi. I think, yeah, a podium would be nice, but obviously Mercedes are going to romp off into the distance this weekend. I don't think there's going to be much anyone else can do. If we could pick up that final podium place, I would be rather happy, but Lando, Max have both looked quick all weekend there. Sergio Perez as well as Daniel Ricciardo. We need a good start, obviously an incredibly long run down towards turn 1 here, so let's just wait and see then. Round 17 of the season, we're really in the endgame now of season 1 of this series. The 5 red lights are on, and it is lights out, and away we go. Off to a clean start, rather surprisingly. Not often that we get a good start here on F1 2020. We already think about trying to look around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo there, as there's nowhere to go on the inside. Ricciardo having to think about it in towards the first corner, but we're late on the brakes. We hold firm around the outside, and we're at 1 spot off the start there. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for my teammate Lando Norris, but look at that! Daniel Ricciardo straight back around the outside through turn 3 there. Does park it in front of me off the exit of the corner there, but Daniel Ricciardo, that Renault has got some poke down the straights there, as I think that's Lance Stroll trying to look up the inside through the next couple of corners. Hopefully we can try and get the power down. Where is everyone else finding all this straight line speed early on in this race there? Stroll tries to get a move done up the inside. We weren't really left with much space to go anywhere, but we have survived that little instant as well. Well, not instant, scrap even, I should say there. But yeah, the end coming towards the end then of lap 1. I'm not too sure if there's been a change around at the top. Verstappen still definitely in P3. Perez moves up to P4 ahead of Lando there. Danny, Rick and myself still where we started, 6th and 7th there, but I definitely feel like, hopefully, if we can settle into a good rhythm, we could be on for a good race here today. A big battle going on between 4 teams as best of the rest there. Mercedes, yeah, comfortably clear, as you can see as we dart through the final couple of corners of the opening lap. Is Bottas still in the lead, or has Hamilton jumped in? No, Bottas leads at the end of lap 1. Coming towards the end then of lap 2, we're definitely breaking away from Lance Stroll, and I feel like very shortly we could be applying some pressure to Daniel Ricciardo as well there. Lando Norris all over the back of Sergio Perez as well. So I think in the early stages of the race, this McLaren's starting to come alive just a little bit. I'm feeling a lot more bite from the tyres there. As you can see just how much we close in on Danny Rick through the final couple of corners of the lap there. Can we try and get a run on lap 3? Bottas obviously setting another new fastest lap of the Grand Prix there, but out onto the huge front straight with them. We've got plenty of ERS in reserve as well there. Danny Rick, though, has of course got the DRS on our teammate as we head back down towards turn 1 there. 215 miles an hour. Danny Rick braking a little earlier than I was expecting. We weren't really trying to go for a move there in the end, and yeah, unfortunately, can't quite make anything work, but someone's going slowly. Which of the Mercedes got issues at the front of the field there? This could be critical in the Drivers' World Championship there. It is Hamilton. Hamilton out of the Russian Grand Prix there, and that must be perfect for Valtteri Bottas with just a few rounds to go of the World Championship. A hammer blow to Lewis Hamilton here. You just sort of always had that inkling that he was going to be able to try and recover this and take it right to the bitter end against his teammate Valtteri Bottas there, but unless something catastrophic happens to Bottas, it looks now very much like it's his World Championship. Coming towards the end of lap 3, Lando just struggling a little bit more this time around there, as he's obviously all over the back of Sergio Perez. Can we try and get another good run on Danny Rick? We're even closer this time around. Really were able to sit on the gearbox of the Renault out of the final corner here, using all the slipstream that we possibly can. We might try and go for a send up the inside a little bit later on the brakes than the man famously known for his late braking, but we've pulled the move off. A bit of P4 once again, and look at that, Sergio Perez currently sat in very, very good contention for a podium here, but just like on lap 1 though, Ricciardo thought by trying to make a move work through turn 3 this time round, we can defend from him. Of lap 4 then, to start lap 5, Sergio Perez seemingly under a lot of pressure from myself and Lando Norris at the moment, but unfortunately for us, we are really now the only team with 2 drivers right towards the front of the field there. Lando has a look round Perez. We think about going for a move as well, but not really given enough room on the outside through the first corner there. Definitely didn't want to end up in the wall, but Lando moves himself up into P3 of the Grand Prix. Can we do what Ricciardo did to us now on Sergio Perez? One McLaren slipped by, and the other one has snuck through as well there. So we're now 3rd and 4th in this Grand Prix here, so we've got a fantastic early race form. Now can we try and work together to get a bit closer to Max again? The end of lap 5 here, Lando really pushing, kicking the back end of the car out. You can see just in a couple of places. He's not going to dive it into the pits though, but obviously of course he does still have first choice as to when to make that stop. However, now he's probably going to be a bit of a sitting duck for us as we head on to lap 6 of this race, pretty much already at the halfway stage of this Russian Grand Prix here, but hopefully now, yeah, look at that, nothing Lando really can do. Obviously identical machinery, we've got a fresh power unit in the back of the car ready for this weekend as well, remember. So yeah, Lando, without the DRS, yeah, really not much he was able to do in that situation there. So we're now up into P3 of the Grand Prix. Max Verstappen not very far up the road. Hopefully we can drag Lando up towards him. So there we go, we're heading on to lap 7 then. The team have given us call to dive it into the pits at the end of this one here, so everyone really trying to take these tyres quite far into the Grand Prix. I'm not too sure though, with Lando seeming to be struggling quite a bit on his soft compound rubber, whether it's worth letting him pit first here. But if we don't pit now and Lando doesn't, then we're in a whole world of hurt as well in this Grand Prix, so really not too sure as to what we should do here. Our soft tyres are hanging on quite nicely. You can see we have just slowly brought ourselves up to the back of Max Verstappen here. Obviously, you sort of forget how fairly power-orientated the Russian Grand Prix circuit can be here. So certainly, that's definitely helping us out in a couple of very, very big zones around this circuit there. But just, yeah, now inside the DRS of Max Verstappen, we're probably going to have to pit this lap, let's be fair. And obviously, Lando won't, so if we don't, then we're going to have to go to pretty much lap 9 in this Grand Prix there as well. But very, very intrigued to see whether Verstappen and Bottas are going to dive it in at the end of this one, as well as quite a few other cars. That's a lot of wheel spin as we head down in through Sector 3 there. That's certainly going to take a little bit of life and value out of these tyres there. But Bottas stays out, Verstappen stays out, so everyone really trying to extend this opening stint of the Russian Grand Prix. And that's not going to help us out either. A 5-second penalty, 2 miles an hour over the limit as we head into the pit lane here. I don't know why I thought it was a 50-mile-an-hour pit lane, but that is going to really, really cost us in the long run here. 2.7 second stop, and yeah, now we're going to be back out towards the rear of the field here. Everyone going another lap in this Grand Prix, so I think now our only hope is we get a big undercut on the likes of Verstappen and co, and just see, with this 5-second penalty, where we can end up. This lap is going to need to be an absolute banger. We go end of lap 8. Lando is into the pit lane. The same can be said for Max Verstappen, but Bottas doing another lap here in this Russian Grand Prix. So he is really trying to take these soft compounded tyres there. He's got no faith on the mediums. I'll be honest, they're not feeling brilliant, but they're not feeling too bad either as we head through the final couple of corners here. Are we going to get the jump on Max Verstappen? A 154. Yeah, we should definitely be ahead of the Red Bull man. There he is, coming back out of the pit lane. But now we've got the much more difficult task of trying to build up a 5-second lead over the Red Bull driver there. As we head back out onto the circuit, we've got about a second at the moment, so things are going to be difficult. End of lap 9. Pretty much everyone else now finally into the pit lane here. I didn't think pitting on lap 7 would be an undercut in this Grand Prix, but this race has been rather weird in a few ways there. Latifi, last man into the pits by the looks of it. Everyone else has come in, so Bottas should still be way out in front in this Grand Prix there. I don't think anyone is really going to be challenging him after Hamilton obviously retired earlier on in this race there. But Verstappen still just behind us as well there, so it's going to be very, very difficult to try and build up a 5-second margin over the Red Bull man, as well as Lando Norris, pretty much hovering just over that 5-second margin now. So hopefully there's still a podium on the cards here, but 3.5 laps to go of this Russian Grand Prix. Let's just try and get this thing to the flag and once again get more solid points on the board. Coming towards them, the final lap of this Grand Prix. I'm not giving up just yet on seeing if we can try and pull the 5 seconds over Max Verstappen. He's definitely been struggling over these last couple of laps. He's actually lost a fair bit of time to our teammate Lando Norris as well, as that's a lot of curb. Ready to start the final lap, and a purple lap there. Wasn't quite expecting that, I'll be honest, especially with that interesting line through the final corner here. But yeah, we've got about 8.5 tenths that we need over Max Verstappen if we want to try and hold on to P2 in this Grand Prix there. So we are really just trying to push this thing to the absolute limit here, trying to get that extra couple of points that, you know, they could be handy coming into the season here, especially after Hamilton's retirement. Maybe, just maybe, we could challenge him as best of the Brits here in Season 1 of this McLaren Road to Glory. But this race, though, Russia, yeah, never quite provides the most action in the world. I think none of us are under any illusion about that as well here on F1 2020. Bottas, as always, I don't know what happens here. Suddenly he turns into an absolute giant beater in Formula 1 as well there, and it looks like he is going to continue his tradition of winning the Russian Grand Prix as well there. But we've got half a second left on Max Verstappen here. He seems to really struggle down the straights, but I think he's using the last of his ERS as well here. We got DRS failure. That's not really going to change much in the dying stages of this Grand Prix. Bottas, though, is going to come through to win here in Sochi. 0.2 of a second. Can we just hang on through the final couple of corners of this race here? Keep it nice and tidy. Don't get any wheel spin, anything like that. Make sure we just got a little bit of ERS in the tank as well there. The gap pretty much now at 5 seconds. Bottas new fastest lap right at the end there. Out of the final corner. Have we done it? Have we held on? No! Oh, I thought we had it. I thought we snagged it right at the end there. We do pick up driver of the day though, nonetheless, so I guess we'll take that at the end of the day anyway.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. And after this round of the World Championship, Here's how things look in the drivers' table. More points for Valtteri Bottas, further solidifying his lead at the top of the table. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. There was a lot going on all down the field, but they were the only one who I really felt maximised their potential.
Let's move on to the constructors. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
So there we are then, guys, the end of the Russian Grand Prix, and less than half a tenth, separated me from P2 and 3 valuable World Championship points at the end of that Grand Prix. I'll be honest, I'm a bit gutted. We did, however, sneak the fastest lap actually back from Bottas in the end, so rather happy with that there. But yeah, Valtteri Bottas wins the Russian Grand Prix ahead of Max Verstappen and myself there. Lando Norris as well, a fantastic job in P4 there. Means both McLaren and Red Bull actually take points at Mercedes this weekend. Albeit only 3, but points are points as well there. Daniel Ricciardo, 6th place in the end. Sergio Perez dropped off after some podium running potential early on to finish in P7 there. Vettel 8th, Stroll 9th ahead of Esteban Ocon in P10 there, and you can see Charles Leclerc never quite was able to get back up into the points at the end of the day. Beating out the Alpha Tauris, the Haas, the Alfa Romeos, and the Williams there, with Hamilton the only man not to make it to the checkered flag there. And that means World Championship-wise, though, Bottas 82 points clear at the top of the standings now, ahead of Lewis Hamilton there. So realistically, what, 2-3 Grand Prix time? I think, what, by Mexico Cota, Bottas should be wrapping up this World Championship then. So yeah, not long at all now before I think the inevitable is about to happen there. We jump Charles Leclerc, though, into P3 overall, just 12 points back from Lewis Hamilton. If he continues this poor run of form, maybe, just maybe, could we sneak P2 at the end of the season as well there. But Lando still making good progress on Sebastian Vettel there. I'd love for him to finish 5th place overall as well there. But Max Verstappen as well, just waiting in the wings, 9 points back behind my teammate there. No other movers, though, in that Grand Prix there. And constructors-wise, though, 11 points now behind Ferrari as well. Hopefully next weekend we can try and jump them to P2 in the Constructors' World Championship as well there. But thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy, do make sure you get yourselves subscribed. Leave a like as well, it really does help me out. And we will be back very, very soon for round 18 of the season, where we head to the iconic Suzuka circuit. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.